What's up, everyone? Welcome to 49ers After Dark or something. I'm Grant Cohn. I'm joined by Jesse Naylor. Good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Grant.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I usually don't go on late at night, but I was with my dad all afternoon and pushed my schedule back. So real quick, let me give a little update on my dad. What's going on? I'm taking him home on Friday. He's been in a rehab facility for 2 weeks, and I went to see him for the first time today. And I was kind of nervous. I thought he'd be walking with a walker and it'd be tough to see. Like all of a sudden he'd be like 100 years old and he'd be hunched over, like clinging for dear life on the walker. But he's not. Like he barely touches the walker when he moves. It's there basically just in case his knee buckles and he needs to catch himself. But he's basically walking. He's got a little leg brace that wraps around his calf and goes into his shoe. They did a really good job, and he's going to be home on Friday, and I'm really happy. So I just wanted to give a little update on Pops. So what we're going to be talking about now is John Lynch. John Lynch went on the radio today. You fill people in. What did he say?
So he basically went on the radio. He did two things. One, he gave a lot of praise to Jimmy Garoppolo, which no surprise there. This is what he's supposed to do. Even if he wants to trade him, he's got to drive up the price. But the other thing is he said, we are seriously looking forward to kind of rebooting our team and making a run at this thing next year.
That's what he said last year.
That's what.
And if they have a bunch of injuries again this year, are they gonna reboot next year?
That's the problem. And so,
it sounds like what they're doing is walking. If like they're talking about the team like it's a modem. It's like, well, just unplug it, plug it back in, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh look, my C drive's a little messed up. Let me just go ahead and shut things down. We'll be good.
Restart it. Yeah.
But this is what you and I have talked about in the past is.
Denial.
Debo came out and said it. Let's go back to the end of last year. What did Kittle say? Revenge tour.
Revenge tour.
So that was the whole statement this year. It's a revenge tour. Then at the end of this year, we should have won.
We were the best
team. Yes.
We were the best. It's impossible for us to even try to get better. Let's just stay the same because that's good enough.
Yes. Yep. So we had a revenge tour this year. And then now we've got Debo coming out at the end of the year tweeting saying, hey, if we were healthy, all these teams would be in trouble.
Yeah.
It's very obvious where they're getting this from now.
Yes. John Lynch and the entire organization. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is he going to be the scapegoat? Is that what's going to happen? Because I see it coming from a mile away.
Tell me what you mean.
I just think that they're going to struggle this year. This is his vision. It's his message from the top down. Shanahan's just along for the ride.
Stay the course.
Stay the course. This was his idea.
Yeah.
So then what happens at the end of this year for 7-9 or 7-10 if we do a 17-game season? What happens? Where does Lynch go? Because we know Shanahan's not going to get fired. He's the golden child.
Plus, Shanahan's not the one going out here being like, we're going to run it back. We're going to be good. He's just quiet. Lynch is the one hyping up the team as is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Shanahan's just watching videos of himself throwing at practice. So that's all he's got going on.
Exactly. But it's deeper. I mean, so what he's doing is saying, don't be surprised if we try to bring back the same exact team and hope for better health. But there's more. I mean, it's deeper than that. He's also trying to drive up Jimmy Garoppolo's value.
Yes.
I think part of it is he knows he's not going to get much for Jimmy Garoppolo right now. And he's trying to get more. And there's a high likelihood he'll be on the team next year because there's no market for him. Also, I don't think Jed York would let him cut him. I don't think – also, Kyle might want to cut him. Kyle might feel like, whatever, just give me Ryan Fitzpatrick. John Lynch traded for him. That's his resume. And I think that's the last thing John Lynch would do. Because right now I think he still feels like I won that trade. I gave up a second, and I got this guy who wins all these games. So he's going to hold on to him. And what he's doing now is saying he's great. I just tweeted Fox News posted not Fox News, but Fox Sports posted Jimmy Garoppolo's career winning percentage and stacked it up against Mahomes, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson. And it's like, well, that's a funny way to look at him. It's I wonder if someone on the Niners sent that to Fox. And I was like, oh, who used to work for Fox at the Niners? Oh, yeah, John Lynch, the guy who's been on like a political junket all day trying to boost the value of Jimmy Garoppolo. So, hey, man, if he pulls it off, God love him.
Yeah, God love him. But you're playing with fire because what's his value going to be like next year when he plays 3 games? You know
Even
what
worse,
I mean?
Even lower. Yeah.
I don't know. You've just got to cut ties. Speaking of tweets, I threw one out this morning, and this was pretty interesting to me. So the guy that we didn't get in the offseason, Tom Brady, had going into this season 42 playoff games to Jimmy G's 26 starts as a pro. And after this year, Jimmy G added 6 total starts to his overall starts. And guess what? Tom Brady added 4 to his playoffs. So just keep it going.
Right. Because what you're saying is the logic for not bringing in Tom Brady was, well, he's old. How can you rely on a 43-year-old quarterback? We got to stick with the young guy because of, vitality, strength, durability. Like, no, he's way more brittle than the 43-year-old guy. He plays like a 43-year-old. Brady plays like a 29-year-old.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
So look, it's disheartening. It's disappointing. It frankly could cost John Lynch's job, but at the same time, it could be posturing because A, it's what he's supposed to say. B, he's allowed to lie. He's not under oath. And C, he's lied before for the good of the team. And no one really held. I mean, what he'll do is he'll be like last year at the pre-draft press conference, people ask him, so what's going on with Joe Staley? You talked to Joe Staley? He said, all indications he's coming back. I haven't heard anything that would lead me to believe he's not coming back. And then boom, he retires. They bring in Trent Williams, and he'll be like, guys, you understand though, right? You understand how it goes, right? What am I supposed to say? And we're like, yeah, of course. We love John Lynch. Everyone loves John Lynch. No general manager is going to be 100% transparent, right? And some of these guys have to bend the truth for the good of the organization. Sometimes I don't hold that against him, but I know that he does that. He did it with Staley. I mean, with the Buckner thing, he said forever that he was going to be on the 49ers for a very long time. Don't worry. He's going to be. I mean, you say whatever you got to say. And if it doesn't work out, be like, sorry, what did I?
The only guy he's been honest about during this offseason, and it's the first time I've seen him be just very candid, is D Ford. And that's because there's nothing they can do about D Ford. You can't trade him. You can't cut him because he's got the injury clause.
Can't pump up his value.
Yeah, he's the only thing that you can be honest about. And he is. He's 100% honest. We don't know what the heck's going on.
He's honest, but he's not exactly transparent. I think they know it. I think they know a whole lot more than what they're saying.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
What they're saying is, we just don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You let us know. We'll be right here. You hit us up. All right. So I got nothing. I got no problem with what John Lynch is doing, the subtext of what he's doing. But I do have a problem with we're good. We're not, we just need to run it back. It's like an athlete's mentality. You know what I mean? Yeah. An athlete on the team, who John Lynch was that kind of athlete.
Right.
Is, we're the best. I'm not going to. But, dude, you're not an athlete anymore. You're supposed to be the non-biased, objective observer looking at your team and seeing what needs to get better. Your job is to make the team better. And for 2 years, you're like, well, let's just run it back. Oh, no. You're either getting better, you're getting worse, and I see your team getting worse. If you think that you're just going to bring it back with the squad you had next year and win, I'd be surprised, but we'll see.
You're 2 years removed from run it back.
Yeah.
You can't just run it back again. That's not going to work. You have to have a plan. What is your plan? Come out and give us your plan. That's what we want to hear. As Niner fans, I want to hear the plan. What are we doing going forward to address these things?
Because running back is
no plan.
Running back is
not a plan. That's a plan like waiting for Kirk Cousins in your first season was a plan, and passing on Mahomes and Watson. That was a plan.
Honestly, and if they do run it back and they have another losing season and John Lynch gets scapegoated, what will people say about him for the rest of his life when they talk about his general manager tenure? He was Mr. Run It Back. Yep. He was Mr. Reboot. He was Mr. Give It One More Chance.
Yep.
No, dude, it ain't 2019 anymore. Stop living in 2019. Uncle Rico is stuck in 1983. John Lynch is stuck in 2019.
He is.
A lot has changed. Back in 2019, I was a different man. Now I got a Kia Stinger. So by the way, I want to say I've been driving my Kia Stinger, and there's like a lot of like functions and stuff. I haven't really gone through the manual yet, and I don't even really know I haven't maximized it, but it has 2 subwoofers. Oh my god.
Are they 8-inch or 10-inch?
I have no idea. They're not that
great.
But they came stock, but 2 subwoofers, by far the best sound system I've ever had in a car. I'm so happy. That's all I needed. Anyway, I'm simple.
You get to live out your 20s punk kid days right now.
At 33. Thank God. Anyway, let's talk about Juszczyk. Apparently, Josina Anderson said something about Juszczyk and the Niners. She blocked me a couple weeks ago because she said some tweet about JJ Watt. And I honestly had no idea what the hell she was talking about. It was like very technical stuff and a lot of different words and clauses. And all I said was, can someone please translate this into English? And she took offense and blocked me. So could you please catch me up to speed on what's going on with Juszczyk and Josina and the Niners?
So there's not a ton, I guess, but what there is that we can talk about is Juszczyk is in preliminary talks of a contract, which is good to see. Before he hits free agency, we're actually talking to some of our free agents. Fantastic. So that's a step. I wish we were hearing that about Trent Williams, but we're not. So Juszczyk and the 49ers have had preliminary talks. It sounds like things are going well. And there is some thought that he will be willing to possibly take a bit of a discount because he does love being in the red and gold.
Well, good. I mean, at the exit press conference he had at the end of the year, it looked like he had just left the general manager's office and received the bad news, and it almost looked like he was going to cry. So clearly, a guy like that maybe would be inclined to take a discount. It seemed like he has an emotional tie to the team. He's been here for the entire tenure of Kyle Shanahan, and it's not just emotional loyalty stuff, although there is a lot of that with this regime. But it seems to me that if you lose Kyle Juszczyk, you could replace him. There are other players and other formations and personnel groupings, but he really is the vehicle for Mike McDaniel's creativity. I mean, Kittle's the best blocker, but Kittle's inline block. I mean, he's not. Juszczyk is everywhere. And all the stuff that makes the 49ers running game the most intricate, the most beautiful, the most interesting, the most attention to detail stuff is Juszczyk makes that happen. So I just can't see Mike McDaniel getting promoted to offensive coordinator and losing like his like favorite little blocker weapon thing that he I just he's a big key to their running game scheme. What makes it win? Well, if you take him away, they're the Rams.
Well, yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, think about it. He's the one that Shanahan chose to bring in to kind of set the tone of a culture. He brought in guys like Malcolm Smith and Hoyer, but Juszczyk was really that staple guy that he built that culture around. So to lose Juszczyk now, especially when you really think about it, we just lost Saleh. We're about, Sherman's going to be gone. We just talked about leadership issues. You're at that crossroads again. You're at that crossroads of culture. We need to do what we can to bring him back for that reason. Now, as far as replacing him on the field, I think there are many options to do that, to your point. But if we can get him for a good price, he's a culture guy that we kind of need to keep around right now.
Yeah, I think he absolutely is a leader, more so than even Kittle. Kittle's more of like a mascot almost.
Mascot, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Juszczyk is a little bit more mature. He's also the brains of the offense. Usually it's the quarterback. On the Niners, it's the fullback. And on any team that Juszczyk is on, it's the fullback. He understands the offense on a way deeper level than the quarterback or pretty much anyone except for the head coach.
Yeah.
So the leadership, the brains, the versatility. And if you lose him, I think you have to take out a lot of the run plays in the Niners offense, a lot of the intricate stuff that no one else runs. You take him, all of a sudden, it's a much more vanilla run game that looks like the stuff everyone else does. Sean McVay, that kind of stuff. Juszczyk is he's the creativity enabler.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. The other thing too that was interesting to me is Hokett came out and said he had lost it, like he's losing weight, he's trimming down. He was already in a running back frame. So that's interesting to me. Like that almost tells me that they think Juszczyk will be back.
Yeah.
Why would your future fullback trim down at this point? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Right. Unless you don't see him as a fullback. Because the thing about Hokett at Fresno State is he was not a fullback. He was a tailback.
Not at all. No.
So I don't know how much real experience he has blocking and how good he is at it. Juszczyk was a tight end at Harvard. So he did block. So that's, So I think it's a good thing if they bring him back, if he's willing to take a discount. I don't know how many players on this team would really do that. And if he's one of them, you definitely want to bring him back. Absolutely. Why would you turn your back on him? I've been saying for years that they don't give him the ball enough. So I'm in favor of it. Bring him back, use him more often. They take him off the field so they can put Trent Taylor in. Like, come on. Just put Juszczyk in the slot. You can't tell me Trent Taylor's better than him.
No. Just play your best football players, for gosh sakes.
For gosh sake. Okay, real quick, Mark Espinoza says, and donates $20. Thank you, Mark. Says, John and Kyle are under pressure. It's a lose-lose situation. You keep Jimmy, the fans will be mad that they couldn't re-sign certain players because they kept him. If you cut him, they look like they made a major mistake. That is the issue. If they cut him, they look like they made a major mistake. You traded a second-round pick for him. You ended up cutting him. You said no to Tom Brady because you had Jimmy Garoppolo. You cut Jimmy Garoppolo a year later. Then these two, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, for all their virtues and all the good things they've done, have really not shown the ability to admit when they made a mistake. They don't do that. They double down every time.
That's just it, though. Like, let's separate his comments. So the first one was, they're in a lose-lose situation. Fans will be mad. Here's the key word. Fans will be mad if you don't re-sign certain players. Mm-hmm. Flip side of that is, well, if you do cut them, then they look stupid. Like, to who? You look stupid to yourself. That's your own ego getting in the way.
Yes.
Who cares? Who cares what your ego says? Do what's best for the team. Do what's best for the team.
Your personal resume took a hit. But you're not there for what's best for your resume. You're there to do what's best for the team.
Yep.
And what's best for the team is to get Jimmy Garoppolo's contract off the books. Or if you really believe in him, John,
don't go there.
Extend him. Hold on. Because it's real clear how the organization felt after the Super Bowl. They extended Kyle Shanahan. They eventually extended John Lynch. They extended George Kittle. They did not extend Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback. Essentially, they blamed him for the Super Bowl loss. And now they still won't extend him, but they keep bringing him back and saying, he's our guy. We can win with him. Oh, word? You really feel that way? It's like a game of chicken. Like, do you really feel that way, John? Then extend him right now, because bringing him back at this cap number is going to cost you Trent Williams, and fans won't like it. You think fans are real, like, casual, and they'll be like, well, whatever, like, that they only care about the quarterback and everyone else is replaceable. I think you're underestimating Niner fans. I think Niner fans are really perceptive and diehard. They know what's going on. To keep that mediocrity and lose the best left tackle in the league or a top 3 guy, Niner fans are going to be pissed. Pissed.
I say we start the official Twitter petition and at Jed York and at John Lynch and make them hear our voice. That's what I think.
I'm down. Why not? I at them all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm definitely down.
Come on. I mean, if we can't, because pre-COVID, you would just hire a prop plane to fly a banner over Levi's. But now we're all inside. We got to do this via Twitter. It'll work. It'll be equally effective. Mark, great question. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Trent Williams, wouldn't it be a great time to give him the franchise tag right around now?
Yeah, I mean, when franchise tags opened up yesterday, and there's a great guy that I would love to give that to, but Trent Williams can't be franchise tagged because, hey, we gave him our word, and we can't go against that, and that's it, man. I mean, I don't understand our franchise. I don't understand the way that they're running things. You want to be a nice guy when it comes to things like this, yet you're a total jerk when it comes to ripping Jimmy Garoppolo in the media or whoever else in the media. You don't have a problem being the straightforward guy then, but when it comes down to negotiating, where is the straightforwardness? Where is the, hey, we want you on this team. We will save you from this desolate roster over in Washington, a hellhole that you were in. We'll bring you into this great organization that was just in the Super Bowl. We want you. We're going to pay for you, and we're going to revive your career. Yeah, but we need something from you. We need the ability to keep you. And we're going to do what we need to, including franchise tagging you. Why can't you just be open and honest then? It was a panic move. It was hey, Trent, listen, we want you. We need a left tackle. We're in desperation mode. And guess what? Whatever it takes, man. You'll come here? Oh, you'll come here? Okay, great. Yeah. Hey, we're not going to franchise tag you. So just, go ahead and do your own thing. Go somewhere else, wherever you want in the offseason, and we're screwed because of it.
It feels like they were trying to almost like be really nicey, like it's not business. Like, hey, we're your friend. Come on, we're going to do you a solid. They gave him money up front. Remember that? They just gave him this check. They're, here, we'll give you some money up front. We're not going to tag you. We're your buddy. You're in the family. You're in the Niner family. We take care of you. And we expect, we're not going to say it, but the expectation is that you'll take care of us at the end of the season, and you'll give us a little discount and you won't go to free agency. Meanwhile, he hasn't committed like that. He's just sitting like, oh, thanks, appreciate all the niceness, and then he's listening to them say Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the game. Trent Williams might be the best player. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. People don't understand what a freaking okay. Well, thanks. Well, let me hit free agency then and see what I'm really. I mean, you said I'm the greatest, so why would I take this? That's not what you said I'm worth. You said I'm great, and I think I am. My Pro Football Focus grade is off the charts.
Right.
So they really played themselves. It's like, this is business. What did you think Trent Williams was going to do?
They treated him like almost like he was Joe Staley. That's how you would treat Joe Staley
and Joe Staley would
and he would have been cool with it, and he would have stayed, and that would have worked out. But
what are the Niners to Trent Williams? He got traded here against his will. He was
nothing.
He was open-minded, but he didn't owe them anything.
Mm-mm.
And if people come to you with nicey stuff, that doesn't mean you owe them anything either. It's like, well, if you want to play yourself, I'll let you.
In fact, we even did him another favor by signing his homeboy, Jared Reed. He wanted Reed on the team, remember?
That's right.
He's the one that was shouting from the rooftops, bring in Reed, bring in Jordan Reed, so we can watch him throw temper tantrums on the field and run the wrong routes half the time. That was a fantastic signing.
Absolutely fantastic signing. So look, it's looking like it's going to end up being a rental, and they're going to say, you know what? We thought we were making a Super Bowl run, but it didn't work out that way. And we only wanted him for 1 year anyway. It was for the revenge tour, and the revenge tour didn't work out, and we're going to go. But the funny thing is, they thought like, oh, we need an established veteran left tackle to make a run at the Super Bowl. But the team that won the Super Bowl had the rookie tackle that the Niners passed on because he wasn't this enough or that enough. Like, isn't that ironic? John, did you learn your lesson on that one?
No,
I
guarantee you
didn't. They're going to reboot it.
And by the way, we've now given up a second and a third round pick for 1 year rentals. So that's a great strategy.
Who are your rentals you're talking about?
Sanders. And
Williams. That's right. They do a lot of renting.
Yeah.
They rented Quan Alexander for a little while. All right.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And now he's got a cap hit that's killing us.
Gold-blooded says if we extend these injury-prone players like Jimmy, Debo, and Bosa, they have to include injury clauses. Yeah. Well, whatever injury guarantee that D Ford has, make sure you don't give that to the other.
No.
My God. Whose idea was that?
The injury clause needs to be in our favor. Again, it's every time they go to negotiate. We look at D Ford. That's a great example. D Ford, Trent Williams, Eric Armstead. Like, who's negotiating these contracts for you? Like, at first it was, Parag is a genius. Look at and he was with Jimmy's contract. I mean, I think he did a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, but Jimmy had 7 starts. He had no leverage. I mean,
right.
All of a sudden.
He also gave Shanahan and Lynch many outs that they haven't taken. So I guess it really wasn't that brilliant in the long run, because now we're just hampered with this player that nobody likes except for those two, apparently. But, all the other contracts, all the guys that we're re-signing, we're not doing a good job of, in my opinion. We're doing a terrible job of it.
Instead of extending injury-prone players and giving them injury clauses, how about you stop acquiring injury-prone players? Stop blaming bad luck, the MetLife Stadium, the training staff, and just say we've taken too many risks. Some of the risks will work out, some of them won't. We've taken too many. We need to dial it back. It's created a problem. Instead of being like, we'll just protect ourselves. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Gold-blooded, but I would go to the root of the issue. This doesn't address the root of the issue. See what I'm saying?
It goes back to Shanahan's ego. And he's never, ever going to admit being wrong. He's just not.
All right, whoop. All right, let's switch gears and talk quarterbacks, because I love doing this offseason. You DM me your most overrated quarterback in the draft, which got me thinking my most overrated quarterback in the draft, and eventually we'll talk about the quarterbacks we like the most. Let's start off with Jesse's most overrated quarterback in the 2021 NFL draft. Make the case.
All right, so Bay Area Ballers DM me and he said, hey, there's a guy I want you to take a look at. 2.5 hours every single throw he made this year in college. I'm like, oh God, this is a commitment, but let's do this.
Yeah.
So watch 2.5 hours of Mac Jones. And I couldn't put my finger on who he reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo, which, he wears number 10. He's running a similar offense to Shanahan. I can see where you would get that.
I even tweeted that. Yes.
Yeah.
They look the same it's the number 10. I always fall for the number thing.
Yeah. Every time.
Every time.
We're hearing a lot of Kirk Cousins. I can understand the Kirk Cousins thing a little bit. And I guess I think his upside probably is a Kirk Cousins, but the guy that he reminds me of the most, and I went back and I watched film, and God, the way that their throwing motion is, the way that they hitch into throws, the talent that they had around him in college, the hype, the fact that this guy also ended up going top 10, Matt Leinart.
Yeah.
Go watch Matt Leinart highlights, and you cannot unsee it. I promise you. Anybody who does not believe me, please go watch 5 minutes of Matt Leinart at USC and tell me that is not Mac Jones.
A lot of play action, a lot of huge pockets, a lot of wide open receivers, and a lot of him getting praised for his anticipation. And he did have anticipation. He certainly did have anticipation. He's a hell of a college quarterback, but he was chilling. He was playing quarterback in a rocking chair just like Mac Jones. And what those two have in common is they have zero physical traits that stand out. Zero. None. Not their arm, not their legs, not their build. There's nothing. And when Leinart got to the NFL, it was like, he's like, your arm isn't strong. You're slow. Like, what? You were a total product of you. It was like obvious, right? And with Mac Jones, I can't help but notice that he's not that big. He's not that fast. He's not built. He's not experienced. He doesn't have a super strong arm. It's highly likely he could get to the NFL and be like, oh, this guy actually doesn't even have starter traits. People look at him and they're like, hey, he's better than Tua. And I do think he's better than Tua. But I don't think Tua has starter traits. I think that's the rub. I think Tua is going to end up being a long-term backup.
Yeah. The one thing, too, that I noticed, I was dizzy watching swing pass after screen after crosser. Like, everybody wants to talk about how he was like 76% completion percentage. It's like, well, yeah, when you're dumping it off 40% of the time, I get it. And when you're throwing to wide open receivers and clean pockets, great. That doesn't impress me. That's what
Leinart did.
Right. And it impresses me like Baker Mayfield impressed me. My buddy and I back in the day had that argument. It was Baker Mayfield. I chose Josh Allen, and he couldn't get over the 57% completion. Yeah. And I love Josh Allen, and Baker did nothing to impress me, and Mac Jones has done nothing to impress me.
Baker's better than Mac Jones. Baker has a much stronger arm. Much stronger arm than Mac Jones. Yep. I see what you're saying. I like Mac Jones' ability to throw with anticipation, but that's the only plus trait he has. He, in my opinion, is spooked by NFL pockets, ones that aren't huge. He's not. I already said what his limitations. I would not take him in the first round. And calling him Matt Leinart is fair because I've been comparing him to backups and stuff. I thought Matt Barkley at first, but no, this is going to be a top 10 pick. That's a fair comp. We're talking another top 10 pick who went to another powerhouse and was basically a product of a hell of a run game and a hell of an offensive line. When Matt Leinart was at USC, he had Reggie Bush. What was the other dude? The other dude. Lindale White. They had a 1-2 punch, and they could really run the ball. When you watch him, it's a lot of play action, deep drop, no one around him, scanning the field, chilling, making it. He makes it look so easy. Well, it's USC. Are you kidding? Yep. Yeah. And then he got you drafted that. Oh, okay.
Yep. The other thing, too, if you pay attention to Mac Jones, and this really bugs me about him, is the same thing that bugs me about Jimmy. If you want to, I guess, draw that comparison, he fades away a lot. He fades away every time, not every time, but when he goes to throw, there's a lot of times that if somebody's even close to him, he fades away and he ends up short arming some deep throws because he just won't step into it.
He doesn't seem to be, I don't know if he doesn't seem comfortable with bodies around him, is what I'm saying. Once it starts constricting on him, he's looking to get out of there. What do y'all think about Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger? I've never seen him play once in my life. Not once.
Yeah, I can't say anything about him. I've heard of him. I've watched a little bit, but I haven't fully sat down and dissected him.
Okay, this
Ask
next
another
trade
question. Grant owes you $2.
Yeah, so I owe you $2. It was a good. It was a $2 question. I'm sorry. He was like, he probably hasn't watched Sam Elliott. I'm just gonna give him $1.99. You right on that. I'm sorry. I wish there's something. I'm sitting here being like, this dude gave me $2. I gotta say something. I can't say anything. I've never.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fake it.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll get back to you. Is that a fair answer? I'll watch some Sam Ellinger, and you can remind me. You don't have to pay me, and I'll say something. All right, let me get back to you. That's a $2 response. Raymond Martinez Jr. says, if Kyle has another losing season, is he the best trade asset in 2022? Let's talk about it, Jesse. Let's talk about it, Jesse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most creative thing I've heard in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
This is the second time that I've heard this, and I kind of brushed it off the first time. That was about a month ago, but I'm with it. I mean, Gruden, what did Gruden net? Didn't he net like a first round pick or multiple first rounds or something crazy like that? Yeah,
something like that. And also it's like, that's a great, let's back it up. I don't know if the Niners will ever get rid of Kyle Shanahan, but if they get to that point, the move isn't to fire him. The move is to trade him, because as the big Kyle Shanahan supporters like to point out, hey man, you fired Kyle, 30 teams lining up to sign him. Okay, then great. Trade him then. If the Niners get to a point where they feel like, you know what, it's not going to work for him. He's not a head coach for all the reasons. They could trade him. And I think, I don't know, if he has another losing season, his value might drop, but there's a lot of Kyle Shanahan truthers out there might be able to get a first round pick for him. At least one. Hold on, you talk, and I'm going to look what the Raiders got for John Gruden.
Yeah. Here's the one team that we could fleece on a trade for Shanahan. Chicago Bears. They are the perfect team. So if they go through and they have a season where things just aren't looking good for them, I could see them trading for Shanahan. And that's a team, that's like the one team that we've proven we can fleece, and I think we could do it again. So Chicago would be a team that I would think would be the team to work with. What'd they get?
Can you guess?
I'm going to say... I want to say it was 2 first rounders. I don't know why I think
that's just the beginning, dude.
Oh God.
Now I understand why the Raiders did it. A lot of people say, how could you trade this guy? It's like, hey, Al Davis, wait a second. Way to go. Oh, I would definitely do this. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and $8 million. I don't know where they got $8 million from, but Al Davis, hey, let me get $8 million. Not 7. I want $8 million. Wow, dude, 4 picks. 4 picks?
There's no way in today's game that happens. There's no we don't even want to give that for Watson.
I'm sure Al Davis, when they lost that Super Bowl to John Gruden, he was like, "You gotta be kidding me, man! You gotta be freaking kidding me, man! 4 picks?
That's insane.
Dude. If they could get 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Kyle Shanahan next year after a losing season, I would say you gotta do that.
If they can get a second for Kyle Shanahan, I'd be like, yeah, let's do that. What do you mean?
The problem is that you let Saleh leave before you made this move.
Yep.
If you had Saleh, you could have had you could have transitioned, possibly given the team over to the best coach on it. Instead, if you do make this move next year, you're complete blank slate, clean slate. Get a whole new philosophy coach, everything. Everyone's out.
Yep.
So it's good to know what the Raiders got, and $8 million. Don't forget that $8 million.
Jed York would love that $8 million. We know how cheap he is.
They lost some serious revenue last year without those.
Yeah,
fans.
They did.
I need $8 million. It sounds like something Dr. Evil would ask for.
Yeah.
$8 million. Gotta love that. All right. Well, yeah. Hey, Raymond, good point. This could happen. Gizmo says, will the defense take a huge hit without Saleh next year? I don't think it's going to get better.
I don't think it'll take a huge hit. I think that's why the Niners were smart and brought in some defensive minds to help out, because
Betcher.
Yeah.
Oh, that other guy too, the DB coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think it'll take that big of a hit. The one thing about Saleh is he definitely improved, but I feel like the personnel now is set up to do a lot more things. So it wasn't set up before, and we blame Saleh an awful lot for running cover 3 and not blitzing. And, there was just a lot of things that Niner fans were upset about for a couple of years. But the reason that Saleh was able to grow is because the team around him opened up as far as the skill set. And that is wide open. Plus, it doesn't hurt bringing back Bosa. Like, that's pretty helpful. So I don't see us taking a huge step back. Ooh.
For Deshaun Watson.
You
we
want
can talk about that. We can talk about that later. But I want to hold on. I hope we gave you a decent answer. I want to get to my most overrated quarterback. And this is going to really piss off Bay Baller 18, Eric Price, Grant Cohn's most overrated quarterback. I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been riding the fence and I feel strongly about it. I think it's Zach Wilson from BYU. He might be your favorite quarterback. So I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm just going to say why I feel this way about Zach Wilson. First of all, he had shoulder surgery. That's in his past. On his throwing shoulder. People don't talk about that. Also, he had a fair amount of bad games in 2019. When you talk about why he's being considered a top 2 pick, it's all about 2020, 100%. It's all about this cupcake schedule he played because of the pandemic. Like, all the good teams dropped out, and he played a bunch of nobodies. The one tough team he played, he lost to, Coastal Carolina. He's a really good athlete, but when you watch the coach's tape, he doesn't execute particularly well. He doesn't. I mean, like, Mac Jones executes better than him. This guy predetermines most of his throws. He misses a lot of open receivers. He makes a few wild plays a game, but if you actually watch the coach's film, he's not executing. He's a project big time. You know who he reminds me of? You compared Mac Jones to a USC flop. I'm going to compare Zach Wilson to another USC flop, Sam Darnold. And it's like he's a little quicker than Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold's a little bigger than him. And there are a couple of guys who like make a few wild plays a game with their arm, with their legs, but ultimately aren't good quarterbacks. And at BYU, yes, you can't tell. Like, you can do – there's a lot of players who've been good quarterbacks at BYU. Ty Detmer, Taysom Hill. I mean, they've had a lot of guys who put up huge numbers there because who do they play? They actually recruit pretty well. Their offensive line is pretty good. Their run game is pretty good. Their scheme is terrific. It's very good. It maximizes his abilities in a way that Shanahan maximizes Jimmy G's. I feel like we're seeing the absolute best of Zach Wilson in 1 year. He's kind of a one-year wonder. And if he, God forbid, gets drafted by the Jets or some team like Sam Darnold did, he'll have a similar fate. That's how I see him.
Yeah, I think where people get caught up with Zach Wilson is highlights. He puts a hell of a highlight tape up.
So does Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And so that's what most people watch. They're going to watch a highlight tape like, oh, let's go watch his highlights. And that's how we're going to figure out if this quarterback's good.
Yeah. But I think his physical traits are overstated. Like, he's not Deshaun Watson.
No.
He's not Justin Fields. Like,
no.
He's a cool athlete. He's quick. He's quicker than Sam Darnold, but he's not physically opposing in the NFL. He might look a little frail. When he gets hit scrambling around, everyone's going to hold their breath in the NFL. He's the kind of guy who could hurt his shoulder again going down. I mean, getting hit. I don't know. And one more thing. People talk a lot about Josh Rosen's background, his attitude, that he's a diva, that he's rich, that he's a country club guy. Well, do you know about Zach Wilson? You know about Zach Wilson? He's way richer than Josh Rosen. His uncle invented JetBlue. And you talk about does Josh Rosen have to grind and improve at football and make it his craft, or can he just fail and go back to the country club and play tennis all the time? Well, what about Zach Wilson? So I think when people start to really put him under the microscope, the way they've been putting Justin Fields under the microscope, they're going to see things that kind of turn him off.
He is Aaron Rodgers from a stature standpoint and a young Aaron Rodgers from an athletic standpoint, but he doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the anticipation, and he doesn't have the chip on his shoulder. Nope. Is that the guy that you really want running this team? It's not the guy that I want.
No, it's not. If you could take him at the top of round 2, I'm intrigued. Yeah. But he's going to go number 2 in the draft. I pity the fool. Yeah, I'm saying that right now. Yep. I think most overrated. He's got talent. He's got potential. He's a project who doesn't see the field, and I don't know if he's going to take coaching because he sounds like he can be a little bit of I got it all figured out. I'm a hot shot, which apparently is Josh Rosen's issue. Josh, work it out, buddy. All right, who's your favorite quarterback in the draft?
So my favorite quarterback is Kyle Trask. And I like him for a couple reasons. One, I think that he's going to go probably round 2.
Yeah.
He didn't play with a running game He didn't play in super clean pockets all the time.
No, he didn't.
And he reminds me of a cross between two players. He has the throwing motion of Andrew Luck, but he plays a lot like Matt Ryan to me.
Ooh.
So he doesn't necessarily have the strongest arm, but he's very accurate. He throws people open on a regular basis.
Yes.
He will absolutely step into any throw he needs to get the ball across.
He's gigantic.
And he is gigantic. And
that's part of it.
He's he's more mobile than Matt Ryan. He's definitely not Andrew Luck as far as mobility, but he's also got a very, very quick release. And that's
Ryan's a real good comp.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Matt Ryan
I compared him to Eli Manning. Matt Ryan is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
So
and
he's got a very quick release, which is important.
Oh, I don't want to go step one. You talk about your guy.
No. I was just going to say he's got a very quick release, which is very important. You want a release that's usually under 0.35, and his is around 0.32, which is extremely important. That's an elite level release. And if you look at his mechanics, one of the things that Jimmy's never had, even when he was setting the league on fire in 2017, was his feet mechanics have always been terrible.
Yes.
And Kyle Trask's mechanics from the base all the way to the top are superb.
They are. Look, Kyle Trask is to me the best pocket quarterback in this draft. I mean, maybe even better than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is more than a pocket quarterback. Trevor Lawrence can break the pocket and move. He's the total package. But this guy is kind of more in the like Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady mold, in the sense that he's not trying to leave he's slow. He is slow. That's the word. He's slow. He can move a little bit. He's huge, but he's slow. And he has all the traits necessary to succeed as an old school throwback quarterback. The pocket movement, the anticipation, and the size. The size is important for him. He can see over the offensive line. He's great throwing over the middle, as opposed to Zach Wilson, who needs to throw outside the numbers because he's smaller. Also, as opposed to Mac Jones, who is standing in these big pockets, and when they collapse, he looks small and frail. Kyle Trask has all the subtle movements. Also, he's unfazed. He's 6'5", 250. When there's bodies around him, it doesn't matter. If someone hits him, he may not go down right away. That's the way Big Ben was back in the day. He thrives with bodies around him. And that, to me, is key, because if you don't in the NFL, you better be a hell of an athlete, because you're going to fail. Look at Jared Goff. That guy throws a beautiful ball, but he's soft.
Yep.
That's the word.
Yep.
And so he's not that good.
One of the things, I think it was with Big Face Kev, you were breaking down JC Horn, and there was like 2 throws in that video where he threw Kyle Pitts all the way open. Like, there is, most quarterbacks do not make that throw.
And Pitts makes a good catch, but it's like, yes.
But Horn couldn't get to it. Like, he just threw it in the perfect spot on out routes across the field. So if you want to talk about arm strength, he's got a good enough arm strength. A lot of people want to knock him for his arm strength. Go look at Watson's arm strength. Go look at what his strength was. His velocity was only 49 miles per hour, which, by the way, is bottom of the league. It's like lower 5 or 6 in the league.
That's true.
Velocity is not the most important thing. Anticipation and knowing where you're going with the ball is the most important thing. He's got plenty of arm strength to make all the throws. Also,
his deep ball is beautiful. He gets air underneath it. He gets the tip of the ball pointing down when it reaches that. It's really good.
Yep.
Okay. You really just sold me on Kyle Trask again. Yeah, I just fell in love with Kyle Trask. I love Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
The only thing that gives me pause about Kyle Trask is that he's an old style quarterback. And I wonder if the league is moving away from the non-mobile quarterbacks. Although, who won the Super Bowl? Who was it that won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, 43-year-old Tom Brady. Yeah.
There hasn't been a really great pocket quarterback to come out of the draft in a while. There's most of the busts have been the pocket guys. This guy could be the exception. I'm pulling for him. And the fact that you can get him in round 2 makes him even more appealing. I love Kyle Trask. All right, let me get my guy.
Okay.
All right. And it used to be Kyle Trask, but my favorite quarterback in the draft is Kellen Mond. What I like about Kellen Mond is he's a modern quarterback. He is a mobile quarterback. He's not a scramble. I mean, he's not a run first quarterback. He's a pass first quarterback, but he's a very good athlete. You saw it at the Senior Bowl. He's big. He has a strong arm. He's fast. So there's a lot of these mobile quarterbacks in the draft. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kellen Mond. Those four are the top 4 mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
Of those 4, to me, he's the most developed. He's the most experienced. I mean, Justin Fields has played 22 games at Ohio State, chilling. He had like four difficult games in his college career. It's going to be a big transition for him. Zach Wilson, he's been playing at BYU. That's going to be a big transition for him. Trey Lance, 17 games at North Dakota State. Kellen Mond is much more experienced, and he's a 4-year starter in the SEC. Started 45 games, won 31. And just having experience doesn't mean you're going to be a success. But how that manifests itself in his game is he executes. He's not just picking out players before the snap and going there regardless. He's not just a one read and run kind of guy. He fully understands that rinky-dink Jimbo Fisher spread RPO offense, and he executes it how it should be executed. He has no playmakers on the outside. His best receiver is his tight end. His second best receiver is his running back. He does what he can. He's in the toughest division in the league. He's at Texas A&M, and he has them like top 5 in the country. He beat Florida this year. Yeah, of course, he's not going head-to-head with Trask.
Right.
But he beat Florida this year. He put up as many points against Alabama this year as Justin Fields did playing with Chris Olave and that all-star team at Ohio State. There are no NFL players at Texas A&M. So I just feel like he's the kind of guy that I don't know if he'll be a Pro Bowl quarterback in the NFL. But on the 49ers, I know he can execute at everything Kyle Shanahan asked Jimmy Garoppolo to execute. And the fact that he's a 4-year starter in the SEC makes me feel like he could start day 1 for the 49ers. And the final thing I'm going to say about him is, I'm a money ball quarterback kind of guy. I'm not even really looking for the Deshaun Watson kind of guy who's on your team for 15 years and you give him $500 million and never win. I'm cool with drafting a quarterback on day 2, keeping him on his rookie deal, and then churning and bringing someone else in. I think you can win with Kellen Mond on a rookie deal. I think he's a modern quarterback who can move and can win while you're paying him $2-3 million a year. I'm not saying he's going to be worth $25 million in 4 or 5 years, but that's a whole different issue. I like him on day 2.
What's your comp for him? Who do you think?
Dak Prescott. Maybe Dak Prescott was a little bit better. I know he had Mississippi State ranked number 1 at one point. His numbers were a little bit better, but basically Dak Prescott. Prescott was a 3-year starter who early on was looked at as like a runner who was not accurate. He steadily improved his accuracy. And when he got to the pros, he was looked at as a project because he's mobile. But no, he's actually a very experienced, mature, polished passer who can run. And people were like, oh, well, he's a project. No, Tony Romo goes down. This guy's ready to step in, and he has a great rookie year as a 4th-round pick. I really think we saw flashes of that at the Senior Bowl. Like, you put him around Kyle Trask's receivers, legit NFL playmakers. It's like, oh yeah, this guy totally belongs. He looks like one of the better athletes on the field, and he wins the MVP. So I don't know if he'll eventually get. Dak Prescott's a hell of a player. He's a top 7-8 quarterback in the league. I don't know that Kellen Mond will get to that level, but his resume, his physical gifts and tools remind me of Dak. Who does he remind you of?
Well, I think Dak is actually a really good comp. I also think that just personality-wise, he reminds me of Dak. I mean, Dak was and still is very humble.
Yes.
You don't hear a lot from him. No. He's not a me guy at all. And he just goes out and does his job. And also both very smart. Can we throw that out there? They're both very smart individuals. And you can see it. I mean, they have full command of the offense. So I actually think that that's a good comp. What is his frame like compared to Dak's though? I feel like Dak's a little bit shorter,
a little thicker. Yeah, Dak's like 6'2", 230. This kid's like 6'4", 220. So he's more built like an Alex Smith or
So I mean, Dak's more built like Donovan McNabb, I would imagine. Maybe not quite as thick, but I can see that. I think that's a great comp actually.
Yeah. Okay. What was I gonna say about this kid? Oh, I had one more point I wanted to make about Kellen Mond, but maybe we don't need to say it. Well, I think that's all
Well, while you're thinking about it, I did want to touch on Justin Fields too, because you talked about making reads. Fields is not my favorite guy. I definitely don't want Fields on the 49ers, but can we just put to rest that he's a one-read quarterback? He's not a one-read quarterback. He's actually making very tough reads in that offense because every route is a multiple choice route, basically. And he's got to be on the same page as all of his guys. And, those guys have multiple options every time they run a route. The one problem that I have with Fields is he gets very skittish in the pocket, very skittish. So yes, because you're an athlete and because you are mobile as far as being able to tuck the ball and run does not mean that you have pocket presence. And I do not like his pocket presence.
I don't like his pocket presence at all. He's the best athlete of the quarterbacks in the draft. He's a hell of an athlete, but he's not Cam Newton. I mean, Cam Newton is 6'5", 245. Justin Fields is 6'3", 228, 225. So to me, he plays kind of like Cam Newton, but like a smaller version. And I just can't get over the fact that he was on one of the 3 or 4 college all-star teams. The college all-star teams are Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, right?
Yeah,
those 4.
Yeah, LSU from time to time.
LSU.
Up there. Yeah.
Okay, so he started at Georgia on one of the all-star teams and couldn't get the starting job there fast enough. So he left and went to another college all-star team and put up good individual numbers, but never won a national title. That's fine. All I know is Cam Newton went to Auburn, which is a rinky-dink school, and just took over and won a national title. Yep. So I don't see the comp there. I don't know who I would comp him to, but I think he's basically a toolsy guy. You're thinking more like along the lines of Josh Allen, someone who has such physical gifts that by year 3, he'll be a freaking stud. But again, Josh Allen is 6'5", 245 like Cam Newton. Justin Fields isn't gifted like that. He's very gifted. Josh Allen is the upper 1%. Cam Newton was the upper 1%.
Yeah, Fields has a strong arm, but not Josh Allen strong. Actually, you know where I want to see Fields go? You brought up Cam Newton. That's interesting. I think he's a better thrower than Cam was coming out of college. That's just me personally. His arm's not quite as strong. I think Cam had an extremely strong arm, but I do think that he's a better thrower. Washington. If I'm Washington, I'm doing everything I can to trade up and get Fields. I think with Rivera there, with that defense there, if they can get a run game, that is the perfect fit for him. Yeah,
that's a good point. I really like that. That's a good point. I remember what I want to say about Kellen Mond.
Okay.
So what the knock on Kellen Mond is that he's not accurate. That was the knock on Josh Allen too. And what we can see is you can improve your accuracy with hard work and good mechanics. And Josh Allen did that. He's improved his completion percentage every year in the NFL. And what I've noticed with Kellen Mond is he improved his completion percentage every year in college, every single year. So clearly you watch him. He's a guy who takes his craft seriously. He's a hard worker. He's not going to get the Josh Rosen diva label. And if he can improve his accuracy, if you give him some playmakers like Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle who can turn some of those drops at Texas A&M into catches at the 49ers, maybe he could complete 65% of his throw.
What did he complete? 63% this year?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't really care a lot about completion percentage in college. I think it's the most overrated number that you can look at the college level.
Right. So many ways to goose it up or whatever.
Yeah. So you're telling me if he's on Alabama with crossers all over the field and swing passes and
or Ohio State.
You don't think he can be over 70% with that offense?
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you. That's what intrigues me about him. Is like it's a bit of a projection. You can't just watch the Texas A&M. It's not that exciting. He's throwing to nobodies.
Right.
But if you could kind of envision him, what would it look like with him at Alabama? I think it would look a lot more dynamic than what it is with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And what would it look like with him at Ohio State? Justin Fields is more athletic. Kellen Mond is more mature. It would be interesting. He's also athletic. It would be interesting. I don't know. It's impossible to know, but I really like him. And in day 2, maybe even round 3, I think it's a rare, the rare round 3 quarterback who could become a starter.
He has a better chance to me of slipping to San Francisco than Trask does, because I feel like I could see the Steelers falling in love with Trask He's a perfect replacement for Ben Roethlisberger. So I could see them taking him, late first round. I could also see the Falcons, if they don't draft a quarterback with their first pick, I could see them taking him in round 2 before we could take him. So
great point. Because if you're an organization that's had Ben Roethlisberger for 15 years or Matt Ryan for 13 years, you have an appreciation for that kind of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You understand what it can do for your franchise. You're not necessarily looking for the flavor of the month like the rest of the league is. That makes sense. That's, to me, the one reason I think I prefer Kellen Mond to Kyle Trask is just the mobility. I feel like it's becoming more and more of a necessary trait. But as we're seeing, certain quarterbacks are so good at the position, they can get by without it. It's becoming a lost art. You know what I mean? It's almost like the post game in the NBA. It's a little bit of a lost art, but this kid may have it.
Yeah.
It's intriguing. It's very intriguing.
Yep.
Yeah. This was a hell of a show. We got 558 people watching, but you got to leave them wanting more. And you got to leave them wanting more. I appreciate it. We got to do this again.
Yeah, I'm all about it, man. Anytime you want to have me on, I'll definitely, do what I can to make it for sure.
49ers after hours.
Yes, I like it. Yeah, because I'm on the East Coast. I'm a 49er fan in Tampa. So there we go. I mean, no bandwagon here. I could have easily jumped off and went with Tampa Bay, but not a chance.
That's true. Just hide that Tristan Wirfs jersey, all right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Hey, good stuff, Jay. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone.